Can everybody hear me?
Yes.
Okay, great.
Yes.
It's 6 o'clock. Great. So why don't we get started? Let's call the meeting to order. Welcome. Okay, welcome to City Council Work Session on June 7th, 2021. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance.
To the flag
The
Of the
of the United States of America,
America, and
to
to the republic
for
for
which
which
it
it
stands,
stands,
one
one
nation,
nation, under God,
indivisible,
indivisible, with
with
liberty
liberty
and justice for all.
for all.
Roll call, please.
Okay, Councilman Scaringi,
Present.
Councilwoman Riley,
Present.
Councilwoman Friedman,
Present.
Councilman Burns,
Present.
Councilman Strawn,
Present.
Councilman Scanlon,
Present.
and President Rosnetti.
Present.
Okay, that's all 7 here.
Great. Thank you. Do we have Sarah, Mrs. Campbell here?
You know what?
Possibly joining by phone. But this first item is for a requested rezoning, and I can speak to what that process entails.
Okay. Hi, Tito. Thank you.
All right. So we got an application from Bates Troy Incorporated to rezone 20, 22, and 28 Mendelssohn, as well as a small inside lot in the back of their lot on 151 Laurel Avenue, which are zoned multi-unit residential right now. They'd like to rezone them as C1 service commercial, which is what the front part of their facility and what the adjacent joint zoning district on Main Street is. So they would annex these parcels to the C1 service commercial district. The rezoning process, what it entails is we get the application in the planning department. We forward that application to city council. At that work session, city council refers the matter to the planning commission, who holds the public hearing and gives a recommendation to city council. And then after that recommendation is received by council, council can move the item to a business meeting and vote. And so this is that first work session step.
Okay. Thank you. So there's really no action that we need to take here today, and we'll be waiting to hear more about it. Am I right, Ken?
Well, as Tito was saying, the first step is to refer it to the planning commission.
Okay.
You decide, do you want to refer that to the planning commission now, or would you like to have the applicant, provide more information about the proposal?
I
Right?
would,
And the one thing I want to do, Tito, is once it comes back, since it's a zoning change, city council also has a public hearing and you'll complete seeker.
Madam
then-
President,
yes. Go.
I'd
Mrs.
like
Cameron.
to make a motion to refer this to the planning commission.
The motion would actually be at the business meeting. It would be on Wednesday at the business meeting.
Okay.
Right, the decision now is whether or not you want to do that on Wednesday. Are you ready to refer it to planning commission, which is usually the first step? Or do you feel like you need some more information from Tito?
I don't feel like I need any more information personally.
Madam President, I just have a general question, if I can ask that.
Sure, go ahead.
Thanks. Hi, Tito. Thanks for being here. I just have a general question about the process. Would you say, is it more common that an area is zoned a certain way and then the appropriate properties, crop up? Or is it more often that, like, a business, for example, will exist and then request a rezoning? Does that make sense? I hope that
Yeah,
question.
no, I get it. I think it can go either way. The city, based on the comprehensive plan, has a vision for an area and zones it that way to try to get, those land uses to happen. Or the city can respond to what's actually happening in a given area and rezone it so that the uses that are popping up there are legitimized.
Right. Okay, thank you.
Councilwoman Riley?
Yes, thank you, Council President. Hello again, Mr. Martinez. So please clarify for me, 151 Laurel Avenue currently is being used as a parking lot, but there is property on it, right?
151 Laurel Avenue has the plant on it,
Oh, on that side, okay.
and there's parking behind it. And that parcel is actually split. So the Laurel Avenue frontage is already service commercial. And the back there's a leg of the lot that sticks back and fronts on Mendelssohn, and that is zoned R3. So the lot is already straddling those zoning districts. The other lots that they're requesting to rezone are entirely in the R3. That's 20, 22, and 28. And then that inside lot,
Okay.
those are all in the R3.
Okay. And currently, R3 is taxed differently than a commercial property, commercial land property or not, correct?
Well, the assessment and the tax rate depends on the actual use of the lot. And so, and not the zoning district. So if it's a commercial property that's grandfathered in a residential district, or they got a use variance to exist in a residential district, it pays the commercial rate. So it's based on what the actual current use is.
Yeah, that's correct. It's not based on the zoning.
And what is the current use right now?
Well, 151 is part of that main facility. 20 and 22 are parking areas. And 28 is more parking for this facility.
Okay. And the
Madam President?
likelihood is that this would then be grandfathered in to the commercial tax rate as it is currently being used as a parking lot, correct?
If it's a commercial use, they'll pay that commercial rate.
Thank you. That concludes my questions.
Madam President,
Yes, go ahead, Councilman Strawn, and then I think Councilman Scaringi also wanted to say
yeah,
something.
I was just gonna say this first step seems like a formality, so I would support moving that, let the planning commission do their work and their due diligence. And then our work and due diligence, I think, comes at the end of that. Obviously, we wanted the process to move forward, and at least in that regard. So I would support that.
Thank you. Councilman Scaringi, did you have something to say?
Thank you, Madam President. Yeah, I would agree with Councilman Strawn. I think that process is the right way to go. And just as a point of information for everyone on the body who may not know, and Tito, you can forgive me if I'm incorrect, if you can back me up on this. I believe the reason why there's a diversity of zoning categories as it relates to the Bates-Troy facility is because I believe it's 20 and 22 Mendelssohn. I believe at one particular time there were dilapidated structures on those respective properties that the ownership of Bates-Troy actually demolished and actually helped to clean up the neighborhood there, if memory serves me correct. So that's the reason why we're seeing that diversity in categorization.
Thank you. Okay, so unless there's anything else, we'll move on.
So what will happen on Wednesday night? Sorry.
No, go
What will
ahead.
happen on Wednesday night is I'll prepare a brief motion referring this matter to the planning commission and requesting them to report back to you.
Great, thank you. Thank you, Tito.
Welcome. Thank you.
All right, we're
Thank you,
moving
Tito.
on. Yep, we're moving on to John, RL 21106. Are you here? There you are.
I am. How's everyone tonight?
Good. I was going to say Mr. Lavasek, but I'm not
Lavacek,
100%.
yep. Very
Okay,
close, Lavacek.
all right. Go ahead.
You want, there are two RLs on the board for this.
Yep.
There are two grants. You want me to just rifle through both of them, or you want to go one at a time?
Well, let's do one at a time.
Okay. The first one, I believe, is the tactical team, the targeted team grant. That is, they're both through the Department of Homeland Security and Emergency Services through New York State. They are what we call legacy awards. So typically, our SWAT team for this award works with DCJS and Homeland Security to be a certified SWAT team. This grant is for $74,902. And we're just asking that we accept that money, and it'll be used for tactical vests, like entry vests for members of the SWAT team, along with like entry to certain trainings for members on the team.
Does anyone have any questions on this RL? Councilwoman Freeman.
Of course.
Thank you, Madam President. Hi, John, how are you?
Not too bad. How are you?
Good, thanks. So to clarify what you said, a legacy award means that this is a grant that we have received in the past and apply for habitually?
Yes,
Okay, and how often is that?
annually.
Annually? Okay, and so that was actually my last question. All right, thank you.
Anyone else? Councilwoman O'Reilly.
Yes. So of course, like someone said previously, just clarify for me, Mr. Havlicek, this grant we have been awarded already, or is this, we're in the application process?
No, it's been awarded. We're just accepting, this is the process of accepting the award. And it's going to council for that.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
So let's talk about RL 21-107.
Okay. Again, this is through Homeland Security through New York State. This is the K-9 side of things. Also a legacy award. This is $50,000 to support the purchase of an emergency response vehicle, a portable folding crate, a explosives detection K-9, and a 3-day box storage magazine.
Any questions? Councilwoman Freeman?
Thank you, Madam President. So I have some questions about the police canine. So is this, I remember last year we accepted a grant to purchase a bomb sniffing dog. Is that now this grant is concerning the training for that dog?
No, this is not for the training. It's for the purchase of another explosive. It's explosive detections is the term they use. It's explosive
Okay,
detection.
sorry.
Canine, yes. So yes, a bomb sniffing would be the layman's term, I guess. But yes, another canine would be the purchase, not the training of.
Okay, thank you for correcting me. So this is for an additional dog, which would bring our total up to how many canines in the department?
Let's see. I believe we have 4 at this time. I don't know whether or not that'd be a question for the chief on whether or not a canine would retire and this would be a replacement. I'm not really sure if this would be an addition or, like I said, another canine would be retired and this would take the place of a canine that's already on our team.
Okay, so I guess if a dog was retiring and this dog would be replacing that dog that's retiring, my question might be moot. But if this is for an additional dog, I'm wondering if you have data to suggest that an additional dog might be necessary, if there's enough like explosives sniffing situations where an additional dog might be, you think would be a benefit to the department?
I don't have data readily available. I do know that our K9 team works frequently with explosives and explosive detection, and that's part of their certification with Homeland Security. As far as data, that's all something that you would be able to bring up with the chief
Okay.
via email or reaching out to him somehow.
So the SWAT certification would necessitate at least one explosive sniffing dog. That's, I guess, up to date on certification. Is that what you're saying?
No, the training in the explosive detections is what keeps our K9 team as a certified team through DCJS and Homeland Security.
I see, a certified K9 team. Gotcha. Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Anyone else? Okay, great. Thank you, John.
Thank you.
Let's move on to Mr. Lake. Hi, how are you?
Good evening.
Hi, we have RL 21-109.
Yes, and that is for the new parking garage. And either during design or just before bids, they decided to separate into two packages the GC contract. One would be the general construction, and the other one, I believe, they thought they could get the garage built quicker if they outsourced the concrete section, the precast concrete. Instead of waiting for the GC to go ahead and get his bids, the consultant bidded it. So during that process, they're claiming that it cost them some extra work and whatnot, and more time was spent than what they had signed up for. And there were some sums that they had included in a letter to us. And I believe through some negotiation, that amount was dropped to $10,000.
Does anyone have any questions? Councilwoman Freeman?
Thank you, Madam President. Hello, Ron, how are you?
Good, thank you.
Okay, so my question is that, and I've been looking at screens all day, so I actually just developed a migraine, and so sometimes my speech is affected by that. So thank you for bearing with me. So when I was reading through this, it seems like this is for labor that was performed outside of the scope of the initial contract.
Yes,
now-
they're saying because they originally only would have dealt with one contract, they ended up dealing with two. And then it caused them extra work during construction to coordinate the two. Normally, you would just coordinate that with the GC, but because they had bid the precast separately, they now had to coordinate that with the GC, because that we were then supplying it instead of the contractor supplying it.
Okay, so is that a typical procedure to like, I guess, split the contract? Like, did they initially?
The reason they did it was to speed up construction so that it could get done sooner.
Okay, I
If
see.
they
And then
waited until after if they waited till after they received bids, then the GC would have to go authorize it to start. This way we could authorize both contracts at the same time.
Right. Okay. Thank you for that explanation.
Anyone else? Any questions? Okay. Thank you, Ron.
Thank you.
Let's move on to RL 21-108. It's Jared.
Good
Mr.
evening.
Graham, hi.
This is an RL to amend the 2021 budget to take funds from the general fund balance, an amount of 100,000, to fund the city's capital line for demolition. Specific to two properties the city's looking to demolish at 12 Broad Ave and a carriage house at 4 Sturgis Street. These are projects that we've been working on for a period of time. 12 Broad Ave was a property in Councilman Scanlon's district that the city was able to work with a senior citizen who's a property owner who is no longer able to maintain the property and accept it as a donation. The property has been really unkempt for quite a long period of time, open to the elements. 4 Sturgis Street is a partnership with Greater Opportunities for their affordable housing development that's happening at 4 sites across the city at previously foreclosed properties. So I do not anticipate that the 2 property demolitions alone will reach 100,000. The cost will depend heavily about asbestos abatement likely. And also, like any contractor right now, bids are in very high demand for these type of things. But that additional funding will allow the city some flexibility if we have additional opportunities between now and the end of the year for demolition projects that pop up from time to time. And strangely enough, that they do. We've received the donation of properties or properties that for whatever reason we can get and we can demolish quickly to provide relief to neighbors, that sort of thing.
Any comments or questions? Okay, thank you, Mr. Cram.
Okay, thank you.
Let's move on to Mr. Carson. Hi,
Hi, can you hear me?
we can hear you. Talk to us about RL 21-105.
Thank you. This is, we've done these before. This is an additional round of business assistance for COVID-19 recovery. This is from the COVID round 1 funds that have already been obligated towards business assistance. We had applications that were due in by May 19th, and 4 agencies responded. Paul Nelson, our specialist here, has reviewed them and found these 4 do meet the requirements for it. Tri-County Communications, which is a radio pager, two-way radio, a pager, GPS company. Hole in the Wall, and I may be mispronouncing it, Sikatoria, which are restaurants. Sikatoria is a Haitian restaurant, and I believe everybody knows where Hole in the Wall is on the south side. And then Direct Details is a car detailing place up on Broad Ave. So with the funding here, which is limited in our application based off the number of employees they have, we will be able to provide several months with assistance for rents, for taxes, for utilities, those kinds of things, insurance, to help these businesses hopefully somewhat offset the effects of COVID-19.
Any questions? Great. Thank you.
Thank you.
Moving on to RL 21-102 with Chuck and Pat. Mr. Sager and Mr. McGinnis, are you there? Hi.
This is to allow the city to enter into a rental lease agreement for the rental cars for Ely Park. Originally, we were planning on getting this done in April, May time period. That did not happen. These vehicles are now due in late September, early October. Due to COVID and everything like that, the cost of this project is over a 5-year period went up. It's going to be $508,370, of which we will pay $14,187 this year, or actually I should say of principal, and $1,468 in interest. Trying to get it back. Instead of being a 61 payments over a 5-year lease, it's going to be a 31 payments. basically 6 payments a year to, we'll be paying the cash out during the months that we're earning cash.
Does anyone have any questions?
Did I lose you, Sophia, there?
No.
Okay.
No, I can hear you. Councilwoman Freeman.
Thank you, Madam President. Hi, Chuck.
Hello, so Angela, or Aviva, sorry about that.
Third time's a charm. So is this typical that we would lease out for golf carts rather than purchase them?
In this case, yes, the maintenance after 4 or 5 years becomes substantial, and we'd be putting a lot of money in to them. And it's everything that we've learned from the company that we're using is leasing these are the way to go. There is some residual value with them, which makes it a little bit better. I mean, we still have the option if we wanted to buy them out at the end of the term, we could. But they're basically telling us the way to do this is go on a 5-year lease and turn them over that way.
Okay. And can you explain why this is expedited?
So we can get this legislation's been out there for probably about 5 weeks, trying to get this figured out between Ken, myself, and the company. And you didn't have the meeting for 3 weeks, and they won't actually put the things on order until we actually sign the lease with them. Okay. And they keep trying to get me to sign papers. And I said, I cannot sign anything until we get this approved through council. So right now we're looking at the end of September, early October to get the cards, which is a cheaper route than the way we're going right now by renting carts from a local firm.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And how long is the golf season? I'm embarrassed to admit we don't know.
Well, I would say on a good season, we open in March and we close in November. Okay. This year we didn't actually get them open till May. I mean, if we get snow in November, we may close earlier. Sometimes you can golf right up till Thanksgiving, maybe even early December.
Okay. And you, in your opinion, it would be worth it to pursue this for this season, even though we wouldn't get the carts until September, October?
The answer to that question, Aviva, I actually was on the phone today with a couple different people for over an hour trying to figure that out. And the cost, we would have to, if we brought them in next March, we'd go to the 22 models, which they're anticipating a 10 to 12% markup. And a lot of this is really due to COVID. Getting parts and things of that nature has made it very difficult. And their backlog is quite enormous at this point.
Okay. That makes sense. Thank you for answering all my questions.
Anyone else? Great. Thank you, Chuck.
You're welcome.
Okay, now we have Pat for RL 21-110. Hi.
We had a very active role in reviewing plans that went to the planning board.
Hey.
Hi, Pat. You have some
Sorry,
background noise.
I'm on a call with Endicott as well about some tree stuff, so I'm trying to keep up with both of them. So this was just a RL to switch the title of the custodian at the senior center from rec attendant to custodian to help us actually advertise the position for what it is. No money's changing, no rates are changing, just the title.
And just to clarify, we don't switch titles, we unfund one and we add one.
Yes.
But I think Pat has told me the money is the same, but the money still gets transferred from the unfunded position into the added position.
Okay. Any questions? Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, so let's move on to Chuck again.
Pat, are you still there? This is I'm not sure if everyone's aware, but we had our parks director retire, I think a week ago or 2 weeks ago. And Pat's gonna take his place over and go back to his old position at the end of the year. So in doing this, we're moving $32,000 from the assistant director into the parks director position. And Pat will be stepping up into that director's role without an assistant for the rest of the year.
And Chuck, is this also to fund the payout?
Yes,
Okay,
Yeah.
that's what I wanted to
it's
clarify.
paying the payout. And Pat's not gonna be making the same amount of money that the former director was. Be some number less than that. I don't know it off the top of my head. It's roughly about a $5,700 increase over a year basis for Pat, I believe.
As acting commissioner
Yes.
of parks.
Correct, correct.
Any questions for Chuck? Okay, let's keep going, Chuck. Next one.
Just going back to that last one real quick, so it would be almost impossible for the mayor to try to find a director to come in here for 9 months on an appointed position. So it was nice of Pat to step up to do this. This next one is a resolution to authorize the mayor to enter into an agreement with Comp Alliance for our workers' compensation, who we've had since I've been here. We've been able to negotiate a 2-year fixed contract at $2,466,198. I believe the savings year to year is like almost $200,000 to the city on this. And the main reason for that is we've had some pretty good claims history over the past. They work close with us and with our PPO over at UHS, making sure people who get injured get treated properly and get back on the workforce as soon as possible. This goes into effect on July 1st.
Any questions for Chuck? Okay, thank you. That's still you. The
The
next
next
one.
one is to amend the finance budget. I sent everybody an email this morning letting you know that I had an individual leave us to take another position outside the city, another one's transferring to another position within the city. So I had 2 empty positions, which I consider pretty critical to the city, both in the payroll. I handle our health insurance and our payroll processing. I worked with personnel for the last 2 weeks and trying to find people advertising on different sites. We ended up finding 2 individuals that I think are qualified, and it's going to take a little bit of a training experience to get them there. But I think they both will succeed in the organization. And I've also been able to talk to a individual that retired from my office last year, and she's willing to come back for 5 weeks to help me in the training process as well as do the payroll. So we're not going to lose a beat here. So basically I'm moving money from our finance furniture line and our audit services and funding temporary services and a payroll assistant position. And I asked that that be expedited. I tried to explain that in my email this morning.
You did, thank you. Questions? Okay, next one.
The next one is an ordinance to transfer money from a reserve line we have out there to pay for a Shenango River Trail levy project. I asked Ron to stay on because he's more involved with the DEC, but I know this is a project that the DEC wants done ASAP. It's for the little river trail, if anyone's walked it, behind Kmart that goes from up where the road ends all the way down to Sherry Lindsay Park. And Ron, if you want to explain to them what we're doing there.
Okay, apparently whenever that trail was put in, it was done without a permit from the Corps of Engineers. And the Corps of Engineers has discovered that that levee has settled somewhat, and they're blaming it on that work. And what they're requiring us, and DEC is forcing us to do, is to remove the walk. And then we have to raise the levee back to the height that it was before. And then at some time in the future, if you wanted to put the walkway back, you could with a permit. But right now, we have to restore it to the original heights.
Any questions?
Madam President, yes.
Yes, go ahead, Mr. Scanlon.
Ron, is that taking out that whole walkway, the entire walkway, is remove all of it to make the DEC happy?
All of it that's on the levee.
Okay, thank you.
Next one, Chuck, RL 21-101.
21-101 is a yearly thing that I do, is closing out the bond lines that are no longer valid and removing the money so it cannot be spent and putting it back against the serial bond so we don't borrow for it. It's basically taking $502,000 out of the capital budget. These are projects that we have completed and or they're no longer available to use due to the time frame of them. And so basically, we're just removing $502,000 from the East Clinton Street Bridge, New York Rising Front Street Sewer, which was a New York Rising grant, and the Shenango River Trail going back to 2009, which we can't use those funds right now.
Questions for Chuck? Okay, next one, 101. No, I'm sorry, 104.
The last one is a resolution to allow the mayor to accept grants for the American Rescue Plan Act. The first round of funding is $23,092,337. This money came in roughly 2 weeks ago. It's sitting collecting interest. When I make the journal entry showing the money coming in, it's going to increase the fund balance by $23 million. I'm going to put it into a restricted account. So that the only way it can get spent is by going down to council and moving it out of that restricted account into the accounts at that time that is decided on that meets the obligations of the Treasury Department's guidelines.
Any questions? Councilman Freeman.
Thank you, Madam President. Chuck, can you please clarify what you meant when you said it's collecting interest?
Yes, it's, I put it into what we call our NICLAS account. It's put into treasury bonds. And it's the bank that we get the most amount of interest on. Any interest that we do earn on this can be spent on, can go back to the city to be spent on projects associated with this American Rescue Plan. Where if the state gains interest on the money, they have to give it back. And a lot of times federal money, such as our HUD money, if we gain interest on it, we have to pay it back to the federal government. That is not the case with this. So whatever interest we earn on this can be spent based off of the Treasury guidelines.
Okay, and so then right now it's in a bond account, and once we accept it into the restricted account, then it will no longer be accruing interest?
No, it will still be accruing interest. As we spend it, I will take it out of that account and move it into our bank accounts to spend it out of.
I see. Okay, thank you.
Anyone else? Councilman Burns, go ahead.
Yes, thank you, Madam President. Chuck, what is the interest rate that we're getting?
It varies, Councilman Burns. It's not a whole lot. I mean, we're not going to get rich off this. I mean, we might get a few $1,000s a year at this point, but it's better than nothing.
Sure.
I mean, if interest rates do start spiking up like they say they will, I think, will be much more valuable. But right now it's very minimal. I can send that to you, what we got last month. I'll look it up and I'll send that to you.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Okay. Thank you, Chuck.
You're welcome.
Okay, so let's move on to pending legislation. Lee, are you there?
Yes, hi.
Hi.
Okay, so there's RL 2189 with amending the contracts for the YWCA and the Family Enrichment Network. RL 2192, authorizing the mayor to enter into an agreement with some nonprofit agencies for CDBG funding. And then RL 94, this is attached to the flood mitigation for the Shenango River Trail Levee project. And then RL 95 is with Tetra Tech for the Binghamton Levee study. And that's it.
And that's it. Okay. So does anyone have any questions or comments?
Madam President,
Councilman Scanlon?
yes, I believe we skipped over RL 21-104,
We did.
accept funds for the American Rescue Plan. Did we talk about that? Did I miss that?
Yes, we did talk about that.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah, Chuck just talked about that.
Yeah.
Maybe you just, yeah,
I must have nodded off. Sorry about that. My fault.
it's all good. Okay, thank you. So with that, I guess I'll ask for a motion to adjourn.
Motion.
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. Meeting adjourned. Have a good night.
See ya.
Good, everybody.
Bye, everyone.